And my final question is, can the two of you talk about what gives you hope and joy as it relates to racism in this country and combating, racism as we look towards the future?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question, because that's usually not a question that somebody asks, when we are invited to speak, first of all. But I find that my hope rests in the ways in which I think compassion can be a transformative space for this to take place. I don't think that we've been able to have conversations or be able to engage race talk through the lens of compassion. And so I think that the compassion practice itself and this particular kind of approach where we allow our parts to be named and tended to and that we use compassion as a framework, I think gives me some hope. I also personally have hope in our young people. And so I see this deeply connected to adolescents and college students. As a professor at the University of San Diego, I teach courses that deal on the topics of religion and race. And I have seen, and we have seen and been witness to powerful transformations in my predominantly white institution, in my classroom, where students come in with a particular worldview. And by the end, I have letters from students saying how these courses, a course I teach called Black and Women's Theology, this one young woman says, this course changed my life. And she's like, I thought I was liberal, I was more educated than some other liberal friends. And they were able to realize through using our practices that we talked about, but also through the literature and conversations, how much more work needed to be done. And so my hope rests in those people, right? That as I continue to help people explore their own racialization, their own identity, that they will be able to carry that work on, and that so that my future son can be in a world that's just better, that's a little bit better. It is not. It may not. I may not be able to see the fruit of the seeds that I'm spreading right now, but I have faith that it's going to sprout. Eventually, it's going to sprout. And so I guess that's kind of where I rest my hope in the young people and in what I think the future could be.
I absolutely affirm that. And I think for me, to add on to that is there's nothing that gives me more hope and joy than when I've spoken to an audience and a person of color comes up and says, "You heard me." Mm-hmm. And that interracial dynamic of me as a white person, a person of color is saying, you heard me and you got me. That's what fuels me and gives me hope, because I know that this is possible. We're supposed to think that this is not possible. That's part of how racism works. And so when those moments happen, I want to keep going. I want to keep doing this work. And the relationships that I form, that I have with Chris especially, is something that's fueled me in my deepest moments of despair, when I just want to give up, is seeking solidarity. And that gives me hope and joy.